In our previous video we broke down exactly how you should live your teenage years and more importantly how you should absolutely not live them. And look, I know there are people out there right now watching this video who genuinely deeply want to change. You want to become better in every single aspect of your existence, but here is the reality about this generation. The vast majority of people who look you in the eyes and say they want to change are living a complete lie. They aren't changing, they are just delaying. Think of it, think about how many times you sat down with a friend or looked in the mirror yourself and heard the classic phrases, "Bro, my life is miserable right now, I'm completely sick of it, I'm going to change my entire lifestyle starting next month." Or the most legendary lie ever told in human history.
"From Monday, I'm going to start going to the gym. Monday is the day I lock in."
And I think that phrase sounds incredibly familiar to you. You've probably heard it 1,000 times from your classmates, friends, family. But let me ask you a real question. Have you ever actually seen any real lasting progress from the people who tell you that phrase? Or did they just say the words, run on emotional high for a split second and remain the exact same stagnant version of themselves year after year? And more importantly, aren't you exactly like that sometimes? Or maybe even most of the time? You sit there watching motivational videos telling yourself you are going to completely transform your body, your mindset and your life, but when the dust settles you are still staring at the exact same version of yourself in the mirror. Throughout my own personal journey, or self-improvement as you want to call, I have learned a savage truth that no one wants to admit out loud. Most people do not say what they mean, and only a tiny elite minority actually do what they say they are supposed to do. But I want you to understand something crucial right now. The reason most teenagers and young men fail to change is not because they are too weak, it's not because they are stupid, not because they are fundamentally incompetent or lack the genetics to accomplish something massive. The real reason is far more mechanical. They completely lack a proper system and the fundamental literacy needed to be consistent in a habit. They have absolutely no clue how to keep themselves disciplined long term to make their dreams a reality. If you are currently trapped in this exact loop where you want to start, for example, calisthenics or go to the gym and maybe you manage to survive a massive intense grind for 2 weeks, but then you completely fail off the cliff, I don't even need to explain what happens next because you already know how that story ends. You go back to your old vices, and if you are sick of that cycle, lock in your focus. This entire video was built to save you from that trap. Let's get directly into it. So, in order to fix your broken consistency, first you must understand the fundamental truth about how your brain was built. Since the day you were born, you have been deeply trained and conditioned by modern society to believe that having a lifestyle filled with constant fun, high excitement and as little effort as humanly possible is completely normal. You have been subtly conditioned to believe that avoiding uncomfortable things is a fantastic idea. And because you are young, you don't even realize this is happening to you. You feel amazing chasing that instant gratification, and you might look at me right now and say,
"Bro, what is this guy even talking about? How can having fun, enjoying my youth be harmful?"
Well, I'm not standing here telling you that having fun is inherently evil or harmful. What I'm telling you is that the more you obsessively chase comfort in your daily life, the more you'll naturally train yourself to avoid even the most microscopic responsibilities. And the worst, most tragic part about this whole psychological trap is that absolutely nobody mentions it to you. When you're young, your brain chemistry is flooded with high levels of excitement and cheap dopamine. And because of that constant chemical high, you completely forget about the critically important foundations that will actually matter for the rest of your life. And I'm incredibly sorry to have to be the one to break this to you, but if you do not actively train your brain right now and intentionally force it into uncomfortable situations that demand growth, it is going to be extremely and brutally hard as you get older to navigate through life without doing anything special. You will end up totally ordinary, completely weak and thoroughly filled with regret. When you're a child between the ages of 12 and 17, your perception of time is completely warped. You feel like time moves extremely slow. A single school year feels like an eternity. You think to yourself, I have so much time left. I can start my goals later. And this exact time paradox is exactly how the trap of quitting works when it comes to uncomfortable things like fitness or building a skill. Let's look at the real world scenario you've probably lived through. You decide you want a powerful muscular physique. You buy the gym membership or start doing workouts in your room. In the first few days, maybe the first few weeks or even month, you push yourself hard, but you look in the mirror and guess what? You don't see any massive visible progress. Your arms look the same, chest looks the same, your whole body, and your brain instantly gets discouraged because it wants an instant gratification. It tells you that becoming muscular takes way too much work and time, so you give up. You quit. You'll tell yourself you'll try again next year, and you walk right back to your video games and comfort. But let me remind you exactly how you feel at the very end of the year. Imagine it's December 31st. The clock is counting down to the new year. You are sitting in your room looking back at your year, and you suddenly realize that you quit your fitness goals all the way back in March. You look at your body and it's still soft and weak, and suddenly this crushing toxic wave of absolute regret hits you right in the chest. You realize that if you had just stayed consistent from March all the way to December, you will be standing there on New Year's Eve with a completely unrecognizable powerful elite physique. Because guess what, bro? The time will pass anyway. The clock does not care about your feelings, it doesn't care about your petty excuses, your bad days or your lack of motivation. The months are going to tick by whether you are grinding on the floor doing push-ups or whether you are lying on your bed scrolling through social media. You either show up and pay the price of discipline today, or you don't show up and pay the devastating price of regret later. And sure, it might feel absolutely horrible to exercise when you're having a terrible day. Your brain will tell you that the workout is taking forever and that is too painful. But let me ask you a logical question. Will that one single bad day even matter 1 year from now? Will that temporary physical discomfort have any negative impact on your future? It won't. And let's talk about the people around you. Will the petty neighborhood gossip, the laughter or the toxic opinions of low value people around you who mock you because you want to become something special even matter in the grand scheme of things? Believe me, everyone will completely forget those situations. No one cares. You do not have to feel insecure or hesitate to start your self-improvement journey just because you are terrified of other people's opinions. Every single successful man in human history went through the exact same mockery, the exact same doubt and the exact same initial struggles as you. Your youth is the most profoundly valuable asset you possess right now. So stop protecting your comfort zone and start weaponizing your time. And let's look at the mechanical problem of why most teenagers completely fail when they try to implement a new habit into their lives. The truth is they have absolutely no engineering knowledge of how a habit actually operates inside the human brain. Let's use the classic example of a guy who suddenly decides that he wants to start doing calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, sit-ups and what so. In the first week, this guy seems completely unstoppable. He's running on pure unadulterated emotional motivation. He comes home from school, drops to the floor and does push-up after push-up after pull-up, set after set, entirely destroying his body until his muscles are so profoundly sore he can barely lift his arms to feed himself. Or look at the guy who suddenly goes to the gym 7 days a week, lifting maximum weights for 3 hours straight every single afternoon. If you look at these guys from the outside, it sounds like they are incredibly disciplined and powerful, but the brutal reality is that they are not being disciplined at all. They are being completely reckless, relying just on motivation. They have zero understanding of how a habit functions, and that is precisely why they are guaranteed to quit within 40 days. They are treating self-improvement like a short sprint instead of a lifelong marathon. They enter the journey with an all or nothing mindset, violently shocking their nervous system without building a proper foundation first. They burn out their mental energy, completely exhaust their physical bodies, and the second the initial wave of motivation runs dry, they abandon the habit entirely because the sheer friction of maintaining that extreme level of effort becomes completely unbearable. And you must realize that sustainable change is not about massive chaotic explosion of effort, it is about strategic systemized consistency. So how do we actually implement a habit successfully so that if it stays with us for the rest of our lives? The blueprint is actually significantly easier than you think, but it requires you to drop your ego completely. First, you must accept the biological fact that your brain is not used to discomfort. It hates friction. If you try to force it to go from 0 hours of work to 6 hours of intense grinding overnight, its survival mechanism will kick in, create a massive mental resistance, and force you to quit. And you must force your brain and your body to adapt gradually, not immediately. Real neurological and physical adaptation never happens overnight. For example, if you have never done a single structured workout in your life and you want to master calisthenics, you need to start tomorrow by doing just 5 push-ups. That's it, just 5. If you lack the baseline strength to do a standard push-up, then drop your knees and do 5 knee push-ups. And I know exactly that your ego is whispering you right now, telling you,
Bro, 5 push-ups is absolutely nothing. That's pathetic. That won't build any muscle.
shut up. Starting small is the absolute secret law of building remarkable, monumental, long-term results. You need to completely stop thinking that if you want to become a powerful, successful man, you need to live in a state of chaotic 24/7 grinding motivation. That exact toxic mindset is the number one reason you keep falling and quitting. When you force an unconditioned body into an extreme grind, your system accumulates an intense mountain of physical and psychological stress, and eventually your entire life will collapse under the weight. That is why the only way to win is to erase your intensity progressively. You start day 1 with 1 push-up or 5 push-ups. After a week or 2, your brain adapts and you move to 10 push-ups. And after a few months of unbroken consistency, you are easily knocking out 15 push-ups a day. That is what real undeniable progress looks like. Because if you think you can just grind non-stop without prioritizing proper biological recovery, I am deeply sorry, but human biology does not work like that. When you put intense physical effort into your muscles, you are actively destroying them on a microscopic level. You are creating micro tears and fractures in your muscle fibers, and your body then desperately requires high quality nutrition and deep sleep in order to repair those fractures. Once your system fully recovers those micro tears, the muscles don't just return back to where they started, they adapt and become slightly larger, denser and stronger than they used to be, so they can handle the next load. But guess what? This exact biological law of recovery and growth applies identically to your brain. This is exactly how you rewire your neurological system to actually chase discomfort instead of running away from it. The absolute worst mistake you can make right now is jumping violently from one extreme to another. Don't try to go from eating junk food all day and scrolling 8 hours a night, living like a monk instantly. Build the systems gradually. Start small. Drop down and do 10 clear push-ups every morning. Open a physical book and read just 5 pages a day. Put on your shoes and run a simple quarter of a mile around your block. Slowly reduce the daily frequency of the toxic addictions you have. I just gave some examples. That is exactly how you methodically train your brain to handle discomfort without breaking. You build a disciplined muscle loop by loop, day by day, until doing the hard work becomes completely automatic. So stop waiting for the next month. Stop waiting for Monday. Monday is a psychological trap invented by lazy people to justify procrastinating today. If you have this exact present moment, and that is all you'll ever have. I truly deeply hope I could make your life at least 1% better, and see you the next time.